I guess you'd have to not know what an ethnic cleansing is. My first guest is an RNC national spokesperson, Madison Gilbert. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be with you.
How do we take these networks seriously when they're trying to both sides this? They keep putting on Rashida Tlaib, they keep putting on Ilhan Omar, they keep putting on AOC. Israel was attacked. They are defending themselves. What is wrong with these people?
You know, it's so beyond defensible at this point, and I've said this from day one. There are not two sides, and to not take a side or to choose to take the cowardice way out and say, oh, I'm on both sides, I love everybody, everything's okay, is just simply ridiculous. I'm sick of hearing it. I'm sick of seeing it on the internet. There are two sides. There's a good side, there's an evil side. And we saw evil at work on October 7th, and we're continuing to see evil at work at the hands of Hamas. And we will continue to see it, even if Hamas is completely obliterated. The ideology will live on. We've seen it with ISIS. We've seen it with Al-Qaeda. We've seen it for decades now. And this is a major problem in the region. And it's very disappointing to see people who simply of Israel descent, of Arab descent, of American, anything. I don't care who you are and where you're from or what religion you are. You should be able to call evil when you see it and pick a side. And we're not seeing that right now. You know, and it's very, very disappointing.
I'm 51, so I guess I'm 21 with 30 years of experience. I don't feel that divorced from myself in college, meaning I have lots of memories. I don't remember people in college being this stupid. The people that would normally be marching around under pride flags, talking about intersectionality and all this other stuff, think that they have a common cause with Hamas. Do these people not understand that they'd be thrown off buildings for sport?
No, most of these people obviously have never been to the region. They've never witnessed what people have witnessed who have lived there, who have had to live growing up, being a young child, running into bomb shelters as a normality. They're very ungrateful here in the United States, especially because we are so lucky to live in the best country in the world. Things are very safe, and they don't realize the very real realities that many people live under. And when you want to talk about the LGBTQ community specifically, if they were to go there in the Middle East, a lot of people like Hamas would kill them very quickly because they've done that for many years, but people clearly are ignorant to that fact.
You know, look, I will say this. We can support our allies without blank checks. I don't think that there should ever be such a thing as a blank check for any nation. But the Democrats have a real problem here. You know, Republicans had their back and forth over Ukraine, which is a totally different thing, even though now the Biden administration is trying to link the two. But the underbelly of anti-Semitism, you can criticize the government of Israel without being an anti-Semite, but it's sure become the most convenient cover for it.
Oh, absolutely. And we can support our allies time and time again without running up $33.5 trillion of national debt, which is what Americans continue to talk about all across the country. People are really fed up with this. And it's one of the focuses as we even look at the speaker's race, for example, and people wanting a speaker, they want to make sure we get a speaker and have progress moving forward in which the House can reel in that spending. I remember talking almost 10 years ago now about how we were going to hit $13 trillion of national debt when I was writing for the Washington Times, how I thought it was unsustainable and something we couldn't come back from. That was 2015. We're now heading into 2024, like I said, with over $33 trillion and an administration that just wants to continue writing blank checks to everybody and anybody, everything. I mean, we literally have funded gender studies in places like Honduras in the past, and we think that's a wise use of our money when we can't afford to even pay the debt we already have. It's quite ridiculous.
Do you think going into 2024, this is the last thing the Democrats wanted? I mean, they're dealing with high gas prices and high inflation. I mean, we all are, but I mean, for them politically, they're trying to, put out the fires of high gas prices, high food prices, high interest rates, the border crisis. And now you have this. You have the Squad and a very vocal group of people within the Democratic coalition crossing their arms saying, if you keep supporting Israel with materials, we're not going to come out and vote Democrat.
I think it's a total disaster right now for the Democratic Party in general. When Biden was elected, so many of us said, we're concerned about X, Y, and Z. Never did anybody imagine that just pretty much overnight everything would become a disaster. He destroyed everything good that was happening in the country very, very fast, and it's continued to go downhill from there. He's not been a failure, and his administration hasn't been a failure on one issue, but on every single issue they touch, whether it be the economy, crime, the border, international policy, Obviously, you look at what's going on with foreign policy. You look at the peace that we had before Biden came into office, very largely the most peaceful in the Middle East region, specifically that we've seen in a long time. And now everything's pretty much blown up across the world. And I really do credit mostly all of that to the Biden administration and their failures on every single one of these fronts.
Well, look, I understand you're with the RNC. You got to play the middle ground, the neutral zone during the primary. But I think we could all be honest, no matter what you're voting, who you're voting for in the primary. This wasn't happening when Trump was president. The world was not on fire.
Absolutely.
Right? The world was not on fire. The country, people didn't, the inflation, the gas prices, the border, all this stuff, this wasn't happening 5 years ago.
When you look at the policies that put America first, and again, you're right, it doesn't matter whether it's under President Trump, but under any leader in which they put our country first, they make common sense, good decisions, which is what President Trump did, we will see better results. Biden administration is not doing that. So no, this wasn't happening, and this wouldn't be happening if we had Republican leadership. And I think that's the reality going into 2024 that we hope people start to realize, because there are a lot of Democrats and independents out there that are regretting their vote for Biden, aren't necessarily ready to vote Republican, or maybe never have before, but want to hear what that alternative vision could look like for them. And we're here to share that with them, because I think it's so very important that they know that you don't have to agree with us on 100% of issues, but no matter what you're unhappy with, come and hear what we have to say, because I guarantee you your life would be better under Republican leadership up and down the ticket, not just the presidential, but in Senate, House, and local state races as well.
I got to leave it there, and I can't imagine any independent voter wants more of this. Madison, Gilbert, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, coming up.